Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Worship and Wellness, where we believe in biblical principle with practical steps. I am going to be your host today, Nicole Robinson, and we are going to be discussing a very healthy topic tonight. It's going to be about financial wellness, and our topic tonight is going to be about budget. And I just want to define budget before we get started, that we actually know what budget is. An estimate of income and expenditures for a set period of time. And what I like to think about with budget when I talk about budget is you telling your money what to do. I have a guest with me this evening who is very is an expert on this topic, and we're going to have her join us. Deborah, are you there?
I am. Hello, everyone. My
Good
name is Deborah.
evening.
Good evening.
All righty. So I let everyone know. Good evening, Chanel. You should be able to see little pop-ups and things where people are chatting. You may have some questions. Definitely ask your questions. February is close to the beginning of the year, where this topic about budget is important, where you're setting your vision, setting your goals for the year. So that's why we wanted to bring this in. We wanted to bring an expert about budget. So if you could just tell us about your expertise and a little bit about yourself, that would be great, Deborah.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Deborah. Thank you for saying I'm an expert. This is all self-taught for the most part, but I started pretty much. My father was the one to set the seed. He planted the seed. And it was just basic things on how to write a check at the time, how to budget. He was also the one that encouraged me to get a credit card, which was a Discover card, which his plan there, what he told me was, a little bit and pay it off. So later on in this, I'll tell you what I learned from that when I did that, because I did not follow instructions all the way through. So later on, I'm pretty sure we'll get there. But he pretty much tried to set me up with very basic tips, and from there on, have been to have the right people in my path, individuals that are financially stable, and I have hung on every word that they've said. So throughout, I have been able to add to. I was a budget financial manager for DoD 12 years. I also managed FSC's Fresh Start Church budget for about 12 years. So I've taken a bit of a sabbatical from that for now. And also within my own family, I have helped others who have not been financially stable or just struggle with that. I've helped my own family, to include my daughter's friends, help them get on the right track. So a lot of learned, and also I participate in a lot of the financial offerings at my job as well, and I get tips from that also.
I don't know. Our connections are a little jumpy. Can you hear me? Good,
Yes,
Deborah?
yes, I can hear you.
Might be a little jump connection issues.
Okay, yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of a lag. Hopefully everyone heard what I said. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the last thing I heard is that you've been helping family members, like your daughter's friends,
Mhm.
as far as with budgeting and helping with their financial situations, which is definitely good. Was that at a younger age, older age? Where do you feel like the significance of teaching budget? How soon? Because you said your father taught you. Um, how soon do you feel like the significance of learning to budget? At what age?
I think as soon as they're able to understand it, my girls, I don't think I really started until they were teenagers. But I would say that I have seen where it is possible sooner than that. So if I had it to do over again, I would start much earlier. And you can do things as simple and I think it all really depends on your children and how they get money, and also what you do as a parent. Because in my situation, my girls kind of knew they were going to get certain things. So it wasn't really beneficial for them to wait for an allowance. So I think you have to make sure that there is an incentive for them to truly work money that they are receiving, whether that's from gifts from family, an allowance. Also, as parents being consistent given the allowance, and also cutting back on where needed if they're getting deductions. But when they started getting money, whether that's from us for report cards, family, they always would have three categories. One was church,
Mhm.
two was savings, and then spend the money however they would like. And then also I would have like something, tell me something that you really want. So for my youngest daughter, she really wanted her own. So she actually saved up to get her own phone, and she was able to pay for that phone. And so the first phone that she had, she paid for that. So that's an example. I just think you have to, it differs from each family, but as soon as you can do it, I would definitely try.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know a lot of people have learned different tools, like you said, like you shared about. We have these tools, we learn them, but then we may not implement them the way that we were actually taught, and there may be some hiccups and things like that within the budget. And I guess the freedom of the budget is, yes, you want to be strict and you want the budget to be flowing on a consistent basis, but when you have those hiccups, to bounce right back to the budget, like go in there and make those adjustments as needed, and not feel like you just have to crash, like suspend the whole month and then wait until next month, because then you have another whole
Exactly.
month just out of order. So definitely I like that, that you just get back on track and things like that. Like my son is 13, and like teaching him how to budget. Our goal is for him to save $1,000 this year. He gets a lot of money because he's the only child. So he gets a lot of money coming in. So we got this box this year. And after this was something that he's learning to do, that he has to put cash in there, and he checks off these different things to save up to $1,000.
Oh,
And after that,
goodness.
we're going to invest it. And I told him to start thinking
Yes.
about the things that you like, and we will go and buy some stock in some of those things.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
that, yeah,
Yes.
that's his goal for this. So it's not even $1,000 for him to go and splurge after the year is over. It's for
Yes.
him to invest
I,
and see. So that was a goal that I started with him this year, because he really does, a lot of money comes through his hands, as I when I think
mhm.
about it, like
And my
money
girls
for.
received a lot of money too. And like I said, there are things that I would have done differently. I know one of the things I did with my oldest, who's now an adult, for those of you who are on the call that may know, her name is Brianna. And
Mhm.
what I did with her, so it took, well, they've always listened to me, and but it's always sounded like it was going in one ear and out the other. But believe it or not, some tips that I was giving them, she was passing on to her friends, and they were saying how much, well, how much better, actually stable she was, and how their parents didn't provide them with the information that she had. So she's further along than a lot of her friends. Well, one of the things that I had her do while she was in school was I had her, and she didn't have really, we were still providing for her. Her father and I, we were taking care of the majority of, her needs. So while she had extra
Mhm.
money, and when she started working shortly after college, her open up a Charles Schwab account. So basically, she
Good.
would aside, we put us together a lump sum of money, and then that she had to put in like $100 or something every pay period.
Right.
Now she has a Roth account. As far as the investing piece, haven't gotten to that yet, but I do have some investments that I have made in certain companies that have been doing very well over the past few years. So when we're ready for that, we'll definitely do that. And I'm about to start my youngest with that as well. She has a lump sum of money that's saved up. And so I'm going to have her put that into, open up a Charles Schwab account, and then she's going to put that lump sum in, and then she's going to designate an amount per paycheck to put in. So that's good that you're starting your son out early. I think the earlier the better.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying, because he thinks it grows on trees.
Oh,
So we like in worship and wellness, we like to start off like, what So when we have a topic, we have like, good evening, Cherie. How we have topics and things, how some people will say, um, what it is and what it is not. So what would you say budgeting is not?
Budgeting is not for the faint. It does require, it does, because it requires discipline. It requires discipline. Budgeting is not something that you set up and you don't abide by it. So basically, having the budget, you go through all of the trouble of putting it together, and then something comes up and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to put it to the side for a little bit and come back. Right now, that's all I can think of right now. It is
And
something that
so,
you should follow.
yes, yes. And then, so I would say, like, budget is not, when I think of what it is not, budgeted is not saying that you cannot do the things that you want to do. Like, you
Oh,
can
that's a good point.
still do things that you want to do, when you budget for them, not just
Mhm.
going out there if you get an extra lump sum or some money comes in. Like, I know right now it's tax season. A lot of people are
Mhm.
looking forward to getting refunds coming in, and you've already set the budget for February. So the tax refund is actually additional money that assists, as far as, but the budget should already be accounted for. So thinking about that money and putting it into different areas, and not just thinking that it's a splurge and a split and a spending time.
Exactly.
Like when it says you have to just be disciplined about it, and not thinking that it's just extra money to just go around and play with. So
Mhm.
it's definitely, I believe budgeting gives you permission. When we go into like what budgeting is, budgeting gives you permission. It gives you permission to tell your money what it can do.
Mhm.
I like, when you like evaluate it. Like, I go through this term that I use through this financial guy that I follow, and he goes through this, it's called earn, and it's an acronym for the beginning of budget. And earn is evaluate where you are, arrange the vision of where you want to go, render that strategy based on like doing practical steps of how you get to those goals that you set in the vision. And then A is act now, like start now. So when I think about that, when I think about budgeting is it's reality. You have to evaluate where you are. And one of the things that how I started a budget, I evaluated, I did something that was called a money list, and it wrote down every single thing that I spent money on, every single thing. And as I looked at it, it was like, whoa, I really spent money on that. I really spent money on that. Like, I went through bank statements, and I tracked, and I this is and it was like, what is, oh, I spent money, and my largest one was food. And I felt like I cooked at home a lot, but I
Mhm.
also ate out a lot. And I was like, whoa, I really need to get this under control. So when you evaluate, you really see and identify those things that can be adjusted, because
Mhm.
when you do the budget, you really identify if you have a spend too much, or you don't earn a much, or you don't earn enough. And that's
Exactly.
what the budget will tell you. And when you see that you are not earning enough, then you really have to tweak that thing so that you are not spending as much as you were spending, and really evaluating what are some things when you get into, when you evaluate your budget, where do you, how did you start when you started budgeting? How did you start with the evaluation?
Okay. I'm glad you asked, because I actually used a process. This was when I lived in Japan for 3 years, and during that time, the church, because we would go to the chapel, and there was a program that they were running, which was Dave Ramsey. So Dave Ramsey's budgeting or financial wellness. So that's how I really delved into it, because I've always wanted to be financially stable, financially healthy. Just because coming from my families they were not there. My parents are doing better than what their parents did, but technically speaking, I am the first generation to have gone to college, also to to set up my daughters for financial success. So while living in Japan, I decided I would take a course. And basically, I think it was 10 weeks. And normally they still offer the course, but it does cost. But while we were there, it was military. So we did not have to pay for it. So that was even better. So we met once a week and we went through the 7 baby steps. So I don't do all of what he suggests, but I would say the first few steps were the best ones, because what I did was we had to evaluate where our money was going. What were we spending money on? And so we did that for about a month. So we took a month and we figured out, okay, this is where all of our money is going. And like you, a lot of it was going to groceries. I mean, we were spending a ton of money on groceries for a family of 4. And it's like, why are we spending $800 on groceries? You know,
Everybody eats something different.
yes, exactly. So we were spending a lot of money on groceries, and also at the same time, the waste was a lot too. So we were evaluating all of that. So at that time, we looked at how much was coming in, and we looked at what our recurring bills were. Your basic bills, like well, also to being a military in Japan, we didn't have as many expenses as if we were coming back here. So this was a great opportunity to pay off some of the debt to Japan with. So by doing that and by taking those the first few steps, the baby steps, setting up your monthly budget, setting up an emergency fund, and just really following everything, we were able to leave Japan with no debt other than my loans. And so technically, I could have paid off my student loans also, but I didn't care about it at the time because I could get the back. Now I know that that wasn't the right choice, but basically, we were able to come back to the States and was able to pay, I would say, 90% of what we needed to do in cash. Very little of it had to go on credit. So that's where I really got started with being very diligent. And we did not deprive ourselves. We still were able to go out and do family activities. I was still getting my hair done, still getting my nails done, but it was different. So that's one of the things for me. I am not going to deprive myself. So
Right, right.
as much as I am on a budget, there's 2 things that I like to do, and that's getting my hair done and my nails done. So I always have saved up for that. I find a way. But there was a time when I had to not get my nails done because there were other things that needed to be taken care of. So I went almost a year. And that was a sacrifice. Well, it shouldn't have been a sacrifice, but it was a sacrifice for me because I had
I
been doing
understand.
it quite some time.
Well,
But
that's where you said where it came into that discipline, because you had to be like,
exactly.
what's more important here? Do we need
Yes.
to eat, or do I need to get my nails done?
Yes. And so when we started
So
looking
I
at more,
definitely
having a
understand.
grocery list and not going to the store when you're hungry and, really looking at what's in the pantry, that's how we were able to get that grocery bill down. Also even monitor how much we were eating out
Yes.
and going to, like, we're only going to eat out maybe twice a month or something. Really depended on what was going on with the bills and what taken care of. But and it's not easy. I mean, it takes some getting used to, and it does require discipline. But that's how I really got started with. I was really on, okay, we got to get out of this debt, and so this is how we're going to do it, and it worked.
Well, that's good. That definitely shows that it was a collective effort. That it wasn't just one person trying to do it. Like the whole family was involved, which sometimes can be a struggle if like some people have like marriages where one's a spender and one's a saver, and
Mhm.
sometimes they can be combative when you're trying to like get the thing. But I definitely love Dave Ramsey as well. He was definitely, I think I was over in Kuwait and I did his financial peace
Yeah,
literacy course,
financial
and it
peace.
was very it was, it was very very good. I definitely enjoyed it. That and where it basically really, when I did the money list, it actually showed that there was definitely a margin that could have been that was very very tight, It could have been
Yes.
larger because I was
Mhm.
definitely spending money on things that were just not necessities. And what and again in that evaluation, another tool that that you guys can use is you pull those 6 months of statements, and you
Mhm.
and it's going to take time, and you grab like 5 or 6 highlighters, and you go in there and you highlight what is it, if it's food, if it's transport, what's food, what's transportation, what's utilities, what's housing, sign one for miscellaneous. If you have kids, do a kid expense, and that's where you really get a clear picture of where your money is going. So
And I think to add to that, Nicole, sorry to
no,
interrupt.
you're
To add
good.
to that, believe that some of the banks now are doing where I know at least USAA does. I know everyone doesn't have this.
They're categorizing it for you, right?
Yes. So if you go in, there's a way that you can do your budget, set up a budget, and you don't have to go through each of your statements. What you can
Yeah.
do is you can take a month, and you look at a month. You give it your date range, and then there are categories that are already in the system, and then you can also add categories. And when you go through and you can look and you can tell, sometimes it miscategorizes it because of the
The
where you
name of
spent the money.
the
Yes,
vendor or
but
something.
you can
Yeah.
go in because I've done this. I will go in, and if something comes out as ACH credit or something, I will put car payment or whatever it was for. Or if it's groceries, sometimes you go to Walmart, it's saying you went there for groceries, but really you didn't go to Walmart for groceries. You went there for clothes or something like that. So you can categorize it, but it's much better to take chunks of it
Right.
and do that, because if you don't, it can be a little overwhelming. But that is a tip that you can do without having to highlight. But I know there will be a lot of people who like to do manual, and that's still good also. But there is a tool with most of the banks that
Yeah.
you can go in and
Yeah,
dig.
I did see that. I'm glad you brought that up, but that's definitely a tool within your bank statements that they're
Yeah, and
definitely
really
starting
do
to do
the
that. I
pie
saw
chart.
I have USAA, but Navy Federal was doing,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
giving you a little a categorization and things like that, which was definitely good to do. I haven't used it. I use another tool. I use it's just another Dave Ramsey was Every Dollar,
Yes, that's a
and
good
that
one
tool
too. Mhm.
where you have to link your bank statements in, and it tracks that as a zero based budget. So that means every single dollar is accounted for. There is nothing left over. You put your investments in there. You put what you're going to save in there. You put everything in there. That's why it's called Every Dollar. So every dollar is accounted for the month. You put
Exactly.
your income, your paychecks, that your net pay that's in there,
Mhm.
and it was a really good tool. I really do like that because I could use it on my phone really quickly,
Exactly.
and categorizing, and once it gets on track, it automatically goes to the different categories. So that's definitely evaluating, keeping track of what you're
Mhm.
spending is definitely the best thing, because you have to know where you are. If you don't know where you are, you don't know where to begin. Um,
And I think it's yeah, and I think it's important. The one good thing about the Ramsey piece, and there are other tools out there, but this was my foundational piece, is the
mhm.
fact that you're telling every penny where it's going. So by the
Yeah.
time you get done with your budget for the month, it should be zero on both sides. So you should be going to something. And if you have money left over, then you can definitely put that into savings. And by doing that, you track that, you're making sure that you are determining or you're demanding that my money is going to go here. You're telling your money what to do, not your money telling you what to do. And it also alleviates the living paycheck to paycheck. Most times, I mean, you have to get started somewhere, but it does help if you stay consistent with it. And I've been in a space where, we were living paycheck to paycheck. So I've been there. So I definitely understand that, and it's not easy.
Right.
And another thing that would help too is having like a family meeting monthly, so that for those who are married, making sure that you're both on the same page, having a monthly meeting or whatever works for your family. And basically, you sit down and you go through the budget. Sometimes there are families where, like you mentioned, where someone is more financially savvy than the other, and they're fine with that person taking the reins on that, and that's the best
Mhm.
part. But sitting down so that way both of you know, okay, this is what's coming in, this is what's going out. This also gives you an opportunity to maybe make changes, so that way you're making assumptions for the entire family. You can do that together, and you can even include the children in it, I think, because a lot of times what we do, and I know I'm guilty of this, is we wait until they become adults to start explaining things to them.
Right.
But sometimes it's not a bad idea to kind of share a little bit with them within reason, how your
Yes.
children are, but within reason, helping them to see, okay, this is what life is all about, and this is all about
Absolutely.
adulting. This is what it means when we
Absolutely.
adult, and when right now you
Absolutely.
don't have to worry about this. But when you start working and you start making your own money, these are the type of things that you're going to have to think about.
Yeah. And definitely it just gives them a light of the other responsibilities that mommy and daddy have that are
Exactly.
that don't just that are not just that we're going through the fast food and we're and mommy's
Hmm.
swiping a card. This
Hmm.
money it's allocated to us being able to swiping this card. It's
Hmm.
not just a freelance thing that we're like it like we're able to do it, but it's not everybody's not afforded that. I do have a question as far as like I know some people may have how is budgeting? How would you give budgeting for someone who doesn't have a normal income, like as far as like maybe a small business and their income varies? What advice do you have for them with budgeting?
So I think for and this one will be, I think I only have one person that I'm trying to think of what I some tips that I gave her. I think initially, if you have a budget that or income that varies, I would almost do suggest like taking an average, like maybe looking at 6 months worth of what you consistent, or putting in some type of spreadsheet or even something electronically, and taking an average of what we bring in monthly. And so if that's the only job that you have, I think that that would probably be the best. And then look at what your recurring bills are. I think looking at what your recurring expenses are, such as transportation, utilities, the internet, shelter, those are things that you have to pay for. I think by looking at that, and even food or whatever, looking at those basic expenses, necessary things, it allows you to see what you need to bring in from your business, and if potentially you may have to find other ways to subsidize if that's your only job. I had someone that I worked with that had a regular job and had another job that where the income varied. So in that person's case, I helped set up a budget for the job where she was getting consistent um, a paycheck, and then the other one came in kind of as on the side. But what we did was we took an average, but trying not to estimate or underestimate, so that way you can help. It doesn't mess you up with your budget. So that's
Yeah.
what I would suggest there.
Yeah. Because I know sometimes it can be a little difficult with with the irregularities of the that you may not feel like budgeting is for you. But as you have stated, like taking a average of those 6 months to still be able to deviate that this is what, because some bills, even if your income varies, the bills are still consistent. So just making sure that you keep an account of what the actual monthly expenses is. So that's really
And I
good.
just thought of something as well with that, bringing up the bills. It is also possible, if you haven't done it a lot of times and you've built a rapport with the companies, you can often sometimes change your payment due date. So I don't know, some places may say that there's a limit on it, but if you're able, your budget and look at what your recurring expenses are, look at what you're bringing in. If you notice that your due date does not match with what you're when you're getting paid, it is possible to call that company or call
That's really
BG&E
good.
and say, I get paid, this is my pay schedule. In order for me to pay this on time or not to have to
Right.
ask for an extension, can I please change my payment due date to this date? A lot of companies, they are willing to work with you, hopefully, but I would definitely try that out as well. Maybe moving around your payment due date to accommodate how you get paid.
That's
Or
good. That's
when
good
you
because
get paid.
I know
Or when you get paid.
personally. That's good. I know because personally, I saw when I was doing my budget that a lot of things came out like toward it was like the end of the month, but it was like that beginning of the month, like, and it was just like a lump sum of things just at that thing where it's like it almost like that paycheck didn't balance out for the month. It
Mhm.
was like this one was it was almost like like almost before budgeting. You're like, oh, I got all this free money, but it all goes out at this beginning of the
Oh,
month. So that
exactly.
is definitely good to actually go in and contacting. And also when you're like when you're looking at the expenses, I definitely like when people are, when you're saying call companies, like there is always ways for you to adjust them. You've been a faithful customer for a
Mhm,
long time. There are discounts available to you. Like
mhm.
definitely call those companies and actually ask them, can I get a lower interest rate? Can I get like, can this payment go lower? Looking at alternate brands is another thing that I like to think about. Like I know everybody has Verizon, they have AT&T, but Boost Mobile, different. Some people are paying like $200 a month in cell phone bills, where you can go to.
Another.
I mean,
Yes.
the mostly where you are. Some people are like, well, I want the right service when I'm out of the country. How often are you out of the country? So not out of
And
the
there's
country that
other
often.
things for that. You can get the eSIM for
Yeah,
that. So yes,
yeah.
your
So you should
wireless,
definitely
your
be trying to
cable,
get it low.
all of those need to be looked at because those are definitely areas that you can save in. And another thing that I like to do is I don't like to see big numbers I have to send out every month. So I
Mhm.
will split a payment in a minute. So like
I
for
will
my
split a
car
payment
payment,
too,
I
Deborah.
have
I will
done where
split
I
a
would
payment. Yes.
it feels better. It feels better for me to pay it weekly than to pay one lump sum at the beginning of the month
That
or
is
it's
that is
due.
true.
For my mortgage, I split it between my paycheck because it's that's a lot. So I go
It's a
and
lot.
I know how
You're
many
right. It's a
times I
lot.
get paid, divide it up, and I send that somewhere so it's always taken care of. So if you don't like seeing big numbers, be creative and try to split it. So you
That
know
is
how
very
you pay
good.
every 2 weeks. So maybe you can split it and it doesn't seem so daunting. So that's another
Yeah.
thing that I like to do.
How do you so as far as like I know some people with the paycheck to paycheck, sometimes this is tough to do, but about automated payments. How do you feel that how does automated payments um help with budgeting?
So I personally only like to do auto pay for things that I know are not going to change. So for instance, like the mortgage, that's a set price. Your car payment is a set price. Utilities, I tend not to do that as an auto because it fluctuates every year. And so one of my biggest things that I don't like to have to deal with is having to get money back. So for things, this is something that is a set price. That's when I do the auto pay, and normally that would be the mortgage, car payment, your car insurance.
Right.
I'm trying to think of for me, streaming services. So I would say a few years ago, went away from cable and just do streaming.
Mhm.
Because there's nothing on TV that I have to see right away. So basically, I'm constantly monitoring the Hulu and Netflix and all of. And as soon as I find something different, like for instance, for the longest, I was subscribing to Hulu Live. Now, YouTube Live has the benefits, but it's not as much as Hulu Live because Hulu Live continues to
Right.
go up. I remember when it was, I think it was like $59.99. Now it's almost just as much as a cable. Those are the kind of things annually to check out. But for me, I only do auto pay on things that are consistent.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I like when you're talking about cable and different things. I us as people, I don't think anybody should be paying for cable anymore. It is like the biggest rip off in
Yes.
life. So I got deployed in 2019, and I think I like things were like being paid and things like that, and I was looking, and I guess like being still, I had time to really pay attention to what was being paid, and I turned off the cable and I bought Fire Sticks for every TV.
Yes, that was another. That's how we started out as well. The fire sticks.
I
Yes,
bought
cable.
Fire Sticks for every. I don't think anyone should be paying lump sums for cable. The only thing you should be getting from the local provider is internet service, and that is something that you could also shop for as well. That internet should not be like super expensive. I really just I think people are just so just consistent. Like it works that we're not really paying attention, and that's what budgeting makes you pay attention to what your income is being spent on, so you can go out and actually See, I think T-Mobile had something where they were giving internet for $50 a month. $50 a
Yes,
month, and it covers and it does the same thing that Verizon and every like. So definitely
I
shopping
think they.
around for those different areas is
Yeah,
important.
I think they get you with the bundling because they make you see it makes it
Mhm.
look like you're getting a discount. But by the time, but you have to be careful with those because sometimes it's a promotional thing. And so I know for I have Verizon Fios, but it's $80. Now I'm going to go check T-Mobile. Said it's
Yeah,
cheaper because
I
I
think
didn't
it's
know. But you're
$50. I
right.
think it's $50 a
Oh,
month.
okay. So yes, so it's
And
been
that's
the
not
same price for
promotional. I
like
believe it's
4
50.
years.
I think you have to put in your address to see if it fits, because I
Okay.
don't think they're like trying to get out to go to
Yes.
every area. But you put your zip code and your address in to see. But $50 a month for internet, that's all internet should cost.
Yes.
I mean,
You
I
brought
don't
up a
feel like
good
it like
you brought up a good point. Depending on where you live at, you may not have those services because I know where I live,
exactly.
for the longest it was only Xfinity. And then
Hmm.
once Verizon came, Verizon was a little bit better, so then switched to that. But that's another point too.
I
Even
used
though
to
it
flip
may be a
flop.
little.
I used to be a new customer back and forth. I was like, y'all not gonna get me.
Exactly. But you know what? The same process, the same thing there is the same thing with auto insurance. Now, of
Yep.
course, your driving history, all of that kind of stuff plays a role in it. And now I've
Mhm.
heard that they're even looking at credit scores for car insurance, which is
Gotcha.
something else. So even shopping around for car insurance every annually. You may not be able to get a lower cost because it is increasing, but just try it. See where you
Shop
can
around for
shop
everything.
around.
Shop
Yes.
around. Don't get comfortable with the provider just because that's the known provider. I
Hmm. And
Nobody
check your
cares. No,
bills.
nobody even knows who's your insurance company until you're in an accident. Nobody cares.
Yes. And then check your statements. I know someone that was quite a bit for wireless. The bill was almost $400.
Mm,
They called to find out what was going on or they were going to swap. Come to find out, there were all types of stuff that was on the account that the person never used. So luckily, they
right.
gave them a credit, but it was part of that initial sign up where, like, you get what is it? They'll give you Netflix for a certain amount of time, or they'll give you HBO, or they'll have something with Apple. So you have got to watch your statements when they come in, and that's why I don't like auto pay on things like wireless service.
Mhm.
Because you just never know. You just want to make sure that only the amount that you agree to is coming out.
Miss
And
Jackie
then
Moore
also,
has a
yeah.
question. What is the best internet system to use with your home alarm system? I believe any internet system will work with an alarm system. I don't believe in, like, now, even with that, when I first bought my house, everybody ADT, ADT, ADT. The Ring does exactly what you need it to do, and I think I pay $100 for the year. It like all of these things are just, it's name brand, and you're being charged for the name. So it's just like it's not necessary. It, like, you
Yeah.
don't even have to do it.
And right
So
now,
shop around
I
for
have
everything.
one.
And also shop around for age. Like, if you're a certain age, they give discounts for age. Make sure that you're shopping around for
Mhm.
those things. And it's a quick Google search. Cheap,
Military discount if you're in the
military discount,
military.
just
Yes.
cheap rate. Just put
Yeah.
cheap in front of it, in front of whatever you're looking for, and it'll be a list of things. And make those phone calls and shop around.
Mhm.
We even say shop around for your mortgage rates. Like, yes, they may change, but based on your credit score, it might be some different things that can go on there. So definitely shop around. Don't get so comfortable in it that you just keep paying for, because the budget,
Yes. And I have.
as we're talking about, the
Oh,
budget are evaluated consistently. Like, it's not just stick to a budget in January. That might not be the same budget in June. Things change. You may have gotten a new job. You may have lost a job. Um, got married. Different things happen. Had children. So different things can fluctuate your budget, so that you definitely should pay attention to it. That it's not the connections
yeah. It looks like the connection is going
slowing down
out
a little
a
bit.
little bit. Okay. Who did you hear the last bit of what Nicole said? about shopping around. Yes.
We lost connection. Well, I'd lost connection for a little bit.
Okay. So I think you were talking about shopping
Okay.
around for you were at mortgage rates.
Yes, yeah. So just shop, yeah, just I basically just shop around for anything. Anything as you're evaluating and looking through your budget and you're seeing the price of something, like you said, large numbers, like a large number to someone may not be a large number for someone else. But just evaluate those things that are like pick a number. Like if it's over $75, do I want to if anything's in my budget that's over $75, am I gonna just go and shop to see if something could be cheaper? Or pick a number if it's over $100, just go and shop and see what's something cheaper. Jeremy stated that BG&E was charging me outrageously. Some companies signed me up for some extra. Yes, definitely pay attention to your BG&E bill.
Yes.
You go into those stores and people are shopping and giving little cards for this different, and you're paying for the same service BG&E charges you plus this person charges you. It makes absolutely no sense. Just let BG&E do its thing. You don't need anything extra on the bill. So definitely pay attention to your BG. I learned that my mom, I guess she must have was, I know walking through Sam's Club, because I see them advertise all the time. And you're walking through Sam's Club and they're like, hey, what's your BG&E bill like? And like BG&E, they kind of just control the land. So it's really, you don't need anything extra on top of the BG&E. Just BG&E just is fine. I did
Another
have
thing
some, go ahead.
can I bring up one more thing for the
Yes.
budget? Also, as you're budgeting, I know this is a lot of information, but once you figure out, especially if you have money left over, think about unexpected expenses. So, like your car, those are things that you're not going to have that's not going to be a monthly expense, but you're going to have to get your car maintenance. If depending on the age of your car, you may have to get certain services done that are more than what you would normally bring in monthly. So it's probably not a bad idea to estimate what the like maybe for 6 months or a year, maybe split that up and put that money aside so you're not having to put it on credit or you're not having to scramble try to find the money to get your car repaired. And I'm just using that as an example. So
Yeah,
a
that
lot
was
of
one
times
of those
there are
things that they
emergencies.
gave us with the emergency save, the
Mhm.
emergency fund
Yeah.
to put something in there. I know you hear some of the financial gurus and they say like 3 to 6 months saving. Everybody may not have that, but if you're starting with a number, maybe one net paycheck, put it in your savings account. Try to get up into like to that, and then as you build and build, because an emergency, not knowing what the number may be, I know Dave Ramsey teaches like $1,000, but if your net pay is about $2,500, then you need your net pay. So my thing is, what if I was to miss one paycheck? Would that be in my savings account that I would be able to
Mhm.
suffice for that time missed? So just a practice that I definitely put in there. Jeremy says I do this with oil changes. He's budgeted for every 3 month. He budget for my every 3 month expense. Yes,
Yeah,
as
that's
you
good.
definitely should include those variable expenses as they are, like they're not
Mhm.
on a monthly basis. Those quarterly things that may happen that you may not be in there on a monthly basis. So that's definitely good. As far as with the budget, I had a question about like I know we've been giving um a bunch of things and we gave like tools and different things. Are there any other like rendered strategies that you could share as far as with budgeting?
Yeah, so I have things that I have as resources if anyone wants them. I have different ways in which you can budget. I have a calculator I found. If you like to write things out, you can look at your bills for the month and you can write them there. Also, if you're someone who uses cash or you like to maybe write down what you spent, some people, the envelope system works for them. I remember a class that I taught before, and actually a few individuals who attended the class actually did that, and it helped them reduce some of their debt. And basically, I have labels. They're not stickies, but they're labels, and you can put it on separate envelopes. And basically, you budget each month for these different areas. And so, if you go over in a certain area, but you're under in another area, you can transfer money between, but you can't change your budget. So let's say, for example, I'll do groceries and eating out. So you have groceries. Let's say you put $200 for groceries, and $100 for eating out. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't need the full $200 for groceries because you're going to be eating out or there's a birthday party. Well, then you can move that $100 over. Or you can move money around as long as you don't go over your overall budget for the month. I have several different things that I can bring to church. If anyone is interested in looking at some of the resources, they're all hard copy though. And if I have it electronically, I can send them as well. Also, I have little tips on managing debt, how you can manage debt. So I have a lot of tools that I've used and I've helped others with throughout the years.
How do you include the debt in your budget?
So when I had a lot of debt, so going back to when my father had recommended that I get a Discover card. So I was doing very well with this Discover card. I was, spending a little bit and paying it off, spending a little bit, paying it off. Well, I started shopping and I didn't realize that the Discover card's interest was like 27% until I
Oh.
missed the payment. so so I missed a payment and I was like, oh my gosh. So I learned early on about uh, overspending because I had quite a bit of department store cards and I had gotten myself into debt very early before 20. And when that happened, I was like, this is not happening again. And so for me, that's where I ended up tightening up on that. And I think I ask your question again, Nicole, because I don't think I answered it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so just rendered strategies like roadmaps that so when I'm thinking of it's like it's a roadmap, like based on when you set these goals. So in February, we're setting goals of where we want to be financially at the
Hmm.
end of the year. So just some of those strategies and roadmaps of how we would get there. And you said that you had plenty of resources to get to those
Oh,
things.
I know what you were talking about,
So
the debt part. So what I do is I use this came from Dave Ramsey as well. So they have calculators where you can put in all of your credit card debt. And basically, what you do is you put in your credit card debt, you put interest is, what the minimum payment is, and then what the balance is. And based on how the strategy that you want to use to pay, you want to do the lowest interest rate first or the highest balance first. It shows you how you can get that credit or how you can get that debt down. So basically, what you do is call a snowball where once you pay off one credit card, whatever you were paying on that credit card, you move it to the next credit card. So allows you to pay off your credit card debt sooner. So that's one of the things that I've used and it's been very effective. In fact, I'm using it now to take care of a few things that I need to take care of, and that works.
okay, that's good. That's good. Um, so that was a lot of practical information that we definitely could, but you know that worship and wellness is biblical principles with practical steps. So do you have any scriptures that you use to help you with your finances, just to keep you on track? What does God say about your finances? Just anything that you use to keep you grounded when it comes to your finances.
Also, I think of one of the scriptures that in Ecclesiastes 5:10, whereas whoever loves money, you never.
Hear me?
Uh, sorry, can everyone hear me?
Yes, they hear me. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, in Proverbs 21:5, it talks about how good planning and hard work leads to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. So when I think about sure, it talks about
Yeah, so we're moving into some biblical principles.
I'm going to jump in. Hi, everybody. Nicole, there is definitely a delay. Yep, there was a delay. You was overlapping. Can you guys hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Nicole, mute for 1 second. Go ahead, Deborah.
Okay, so one of the scriptures that I think about, actually, there's several, Proverbs 30:24-25, and it's basically about how the wise stores up wealth. So in this scripture, it shows that the wise person is going to take the time to evaluate, look at what they have. They're going to store up. They're going to save where they can, and also thinking about a legacy for our offspring and their family, setting up the next generation to be financially wealthy. Let's see here. Another scripture is Proverbs 13:16, where a wise man thinks ahead. So budget, that's basically what you're doing. You are looking at ahead, because normally you would start your budget the month before. So that way you go into the following knowing that, okay, this is where my money is going. This is how I'm going to spend. Also having a plan that if for some reason one area you're running in and another area you're not running as hot, okay, we may need to make some adjustments throughout. As long as you don't go over what your zero-based budgeting plan or go over your budget, it's fine to do that, because you're not going to have a perfect month, and things do happen and come up. So those are the two. And then also James 5:4-6, pay what you owe unto others. Look, the wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out. Like, actually, I don't like that version of it, but basically what it says is that you have to make sure that you are paying your creditors that you owe money to. So in order for you to be able to do that, it's necessary for you to have that budget. And when you have that budget, you know where your credit card debts are, you know what you owe the utility company. It goes back to what we were saying earlier, that if you're bringing in money, your bills are due differently at a different time than when your money comes in. That's where you work with your those companies to get that adjusted, so that you're always on time.
Sorry guys, our connection is going in and out. We're getting down to the wire. We're getting to the biblical, and now it's all choppy. We're gonna drop some. Everybody can have them.
I'm sorry, Nick. Hold on 1 second. Go ahead. Finish your final thought, Deborah.
Oh, I was just saying, making sure the budget allows us to make sure that we're staying responsible and paying who we owe. And when you have a good rapport with those who you owe, whether that's the utility company, a credit card, your car payment, whenever you get yourself into a bind, or if you were to get in a bind, sometimes it's as easy as calling and finding out if they can help you out if you explain the situation, especially if you have been faithfully giving there.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Those are really great scriptures. Nick, are you with us? Nicole?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Did you want to include any scriptures?
Yes. The main one that like really feeds me is the Lord is my shepherd, and I have all that I need. So what He has given me is what is all that I need. So managing that and not going above and collecting into debt, that's what it means to me, that I'm not going out and trying to grab more than what has already been supplied to me to manage. So that he has already supplied what I needed. So what I'm earning is enough to be sufficient. So that's, I definitely love that scripture. And then also Romans 13:8. Owe nothing to anyone except for your obligations to love one another. If you love your neighbor, you will be fulfilled requirements of God's law. So again, not going out and acquiring debt for things that we cannot afford. And the budget will help you to sustain that, that you don't go above the means, because the budget is basically telling the money what to do. And if the budget doesn't show the money's there, then we're not going out and creating new obligations for money that we do not have.
I love that. I love how God always brings it back to still making it practical, right? And it really speaks to making sure we have a component of a wellness, financial wellness there as well. So, you know, even if you can't make it make sense in your mind practically, you can always go back to the word, and the word gives us things to help get us back on track, you know, if you're willing. Deborah, we so appreciate your skill and knowledge. Are there any final thoughts that
Yes, thank you.
Want to say before we conclude? What I will say is any resources that you have, if you present it to me, I can make sure that the wellness team either makes it accessible on the wellness page, or we can email, you know, if you reach out to me, we can get it emailed out to folks. But any final thoughts?
I think one of the things I wanted to do, I found this today at work, and since this is worship and wellness, I thought it was segue tonight, and it's talking about financial well-being. Financial well-being is having financial security and financial freedom of choice in the present and in the future. Financial well-being is a highly personal state that cannot be fully described with objective measures. The four elements of financial well-being are control over your day-to-day and month finances, financial freedom to make choices to enjoy life, capacity to absorb a financial shock, and on track to meet your financial goals. Those are elements that were provided to us today at work. And this comes from the research that was conducted by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So I think that all falls in line with I think we hit all of those elements tonight. And so without even saying it at the beginning, we covered that. And so I thought that that was a good way to close us out. And I will definitely make available the resources that I have. And as I get more, can definitely make those available to everyone.
Now, I will say one thing that Nicole didn't think. First of all, thank you so much for Deborah. That was the best, a culmination of everything that was just discussed. One thing that I would like to ask both of you, I mean, it's interesting because Nicole didn't even talk about what she does day to day, her day-to-day business, but if you each can tell us how, if someone wants to speak with you, I don't know if you guys do coaching or if you do mentoring in this area, or Nicole, if you do anything. Well, I know you do meet with people pertaining to taxes and things of that nature, but if you guys want to share just your information, if you're open to that, and then I'll make a note of it. So if people want to reach out to you directly, how could they do that?
Yes, so I'm good with sharing my email and my phone number. I normally will assist. I guess mine is more like coaching and helping out. I've done it a lot for my daughter. Well, actually, I started her out and helping her as she moves into adulthood. And she's also told her friends about me. So from time to time, they will want assistance. So my phone number is.
Oh, don't say it. I'm real funny about putting your personal information, but what we'll say is, if you're interested in getting coaching with Deborah, just say I'm interested in coaching, financial coaching, and then we'll make sure that the connection happens.
Okay, sounds good to me.
I'd rather it be that way, since it's more your personal information versus a business
Oh,
information.
yes.
That's
Okay.
different.
Mhm.
We want to keep your private. How about that?
Yes, thank you very much. But I'm willing to help out where needed.
Yes.
But I
So
only
if you're
do it'll probably be like set times just because of everything that I have going on, but I'll definitely share the times that I am available to assist with that.
I love that. Thank you so much. So if you're watching, or please, one of the things we always say, Sharon, is Karen, share this information. If you're looking for financial coaching, Deborah is open to that. Just say, I'm interested in financial coaching. And we will make sure that you all are connected. Nicole, before you glitch out, anything you want to share with what you do?
Hi, yes. So I am the owner and founder of Day by Day Tax. You can locate me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I do a podcast every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on YouTube called Talk That Tax, and on IG on Day by Day Tax. And I give tips on taxes on the seasons for individual and small business owners.
Woo, that's some good stuff.
Wow.
Listen,
Where
talk
I'm
about
coming.
financially right.
I know where I need to get my expertise from. I'm coming to Nicole.
Period. I need to get on them, jump on those talk that tax. I need to get on that on Tuesday nights.
Mhm.
Awesome. This has been an amazing evening. Nicole, you want to close us out?
Yes. So we thank you again for joining us with Worship and Wellness, where we believe in biblical principles with practical steps. We will see you on the third Monday of this month, and we will be talking about your mindset around money. And we will have a special guest, again, another expert coming in with more Worship and Wellness team members. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. That's